I guess I want to ask you two questions about this. Is that how do you recognize when things are crooked? Like it may not be obvious to you that, like,
Hmm.
hey, I'm practicing in some place that doesn't have clean straight lines, but it may be all you know.
Yeah.
And that I think applies to how do you recognize other places in your life where things are not as tidy as they should be. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you're right. And understanding, especially clarity of mind
Mm,
and clarity of thought, is not so clear sometimes. We if we if we come from a place of upheaval that's not of our doing, or it doesn't seem like it's of our doing, whether it's a work or family or something. And uh, I think the best you can do, and this is what I think the Hatha yogis offered, is they said, look, you probably can't know your mind that well. Okay, we're gonna say, oh, can you better, better? You probably can't know your mind very well. So let's start with something more concrete. Let's
yes.
start with the body.
Yeah.
So this is the definition of a Hatha yoga.
Hmm.
And it's this Hatha is the sun and the moon, right? Hatha is the
Okay.
Sanskrit of the sun and moon. And when you put them together, this word, it actually means force or violence, actually. So it's a forceful yoga. So what they mean by that is that I'm taking action. I'm
Right.
putting my hands on this, right? I'm going to do something and move. And so that's just it. So there's something that must be irritating a little bit that makes you even think that like something's off. Kind of like, get
Right.
this
Yes.
matrixy, this Neo type feel, like something's off. And so what the Hatha yogi would say is just start to order things physically that you can actually deal with, things that you can put your hands on
Right.
and do. And the one thing that you can do, and then this kind of comes from and funny, I didn't know this at the time. This is actually, there's a hermetic principle, and which is a philosophical, Western philosophical aspect. And there's a hermetic principle called as above, so below,
Right.
as within, so without.
Right.
This is kind of a famous axiom of this hermetic uh,
Hmm.
philosophy. Anyway, this is basically that reworded, I guess, in a way. So
Hmm.
if we can order our outer life,
Right.
then maybe we can create enough clarity to hear the message. Now, I had a friend tell me one time that a well-ordered physical life is a well-ordered spiritual life.
That's interesting.
If someone, I had a guy used to train with me, and he was a good guy, good, still a good heart,
Hmm.
and wanted to go do some help with people,
Right.
but his car was broke down.
Right.
He was having trouble holding the job, all this stuff, and he was telling me about all these things he was going to do for all these people, and I was like, man, you get your car fixed, get do, handle yourself, your circle around you, and deal with that, and then you can start helping other people.
Right.
Pete, I'll tell you something funny I used to do. I had a when I first quit my job and did the martial arts, we had kind of, like most businesses we were excited about, you get this explosion of people, right?
Sure.
And this honeymoon phase where, oh man, just it's going. And so I had this instructors program that I was putting through, and I still have it, but I just don't do it on this scale anymore.
Hmm.
And I just, in my naivete, I said, anybody can jump in here, just anybody. So everybody's lined up at the door, like, oh, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a teacher. I'm a teacher. And I thought, oh my gosh. Okay. So I got to come up, and it's just more of these people wanting to dabble
Sure.
and just call themselves a teacher because it's a fun idea and all this kind of stuff. So I got to narrow this down to people that are serious. And so most of them didn't have enough practice, didn't have enough physical practice and go long enough to be able to even share much of anything. Right.
Right.
And they couldn't see this. And so I ended up getting I printed off the internet a sheet, these sheets that you have on the airplane, the safety sheets on the
Yes. Right.
airplane. And I printed off one, and it was how to, you put your mask on in case of loss of oxygen, and then you put it on the kid
Right.
beside you. And I kept it near my wall over there. And so I would do these interviews as people wanting to sign up, be an instructor.